Welcome back to The Big Picture. My guest today is Paul Stasiak. He's with the Dealers Association in the Niagara Frontier, and we're talking about all things cars and car technology. You know, my daughter wanted to get me something over the holidays that reminded me of my childhood, so she got me something that she thought would remind me of my first car, you know. And it's like I told her that she didn't quite get it right because my first car didn't have a steering wheel. It had a tiller, and I couldn't afford anything this fancy. But well, anyway.
I hope you still have your first car, because that's worth more than anything we own together.
In any event, you know, technology is changing quite quickly. They're going towards driverless cars and electric cars. Quite frankly, I had you know, Lauren Fix on, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and she's not convinced that driverless cars are the wave of the future. They're making a lot of noise about that. I don't know whether I would trust a car to drive me around, but then again, you know, look at my first car, right?
Phil, Lauren's, like many of us, been in the business a long time. It's exciting to talk about in real world. It's not a reality for the near future. And Lauren's 100% correct. The autonomous vehicle of the future is far from being the car that we're going to drive in our lifetime. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there are so many more moving parts outside the technology on the car that are going to influence whether that comes to market. You know, black ice, snow,
all
variables.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
it's infinite.
And there's so many moving variables. It sounds great. It's a great media tool to talk about AV. It's a great, you know, positive promotional thing for the manufacturers. But in reality, we have autonomous features in the car now that allow us to drive hands-free.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on a throughway now, put it in with lane detectors. You know, by the way, there's a New York State law that says you have to have your hands on the 10 and 2.
Right.
Until that law changes, that won't happen. And then things in Albany move rather slowly. There's a law in New York State that from the Department of Financial Services that's called liability, vicarious liability. You know, there's going to be issues on whose fault is it within the accident, with the insurance companies, how they subrogate. Those are even things that are non-automotive related that are going to be hurdles for this and prohibitor from this to hit the market in states like New York. So Lauren's right, we believe it. You know, it's exciting to talk about it, but in reality, let's focus on what we have today and in the next 5 years, and that's what we do at the auto show.
You know, we used to joke about having a Windows-based car. You know, you press the button and wait 2 minutes for it to boot up. You know, and what happens when the operating system gets hacked or
100%
crashes?
Correct.
And so, you know, I agree. I don't think that that's you know, that close. And again, Lauren made a good point about electric cars. The recycling of batteries and the material, you know, currently cars, and I read this statistic last week, cars can be recycled almost 90%, the materials in cars today. Electric cars, on the other hand, because of the batteries and the materials in those, it's only like 25% can be recycled because of the hazardous materials that go into making those batteries and the propulsion systems. What are the environmentalists going to do when it comes to that?
We've been asking about the lithium-ion battery. Where's it going to go?
Yeah.
There aren't that many waste yards that can
the materials because they're all fused together in those batteries.
As one engineer for one of the manufacturers said, you'll know where they are because that mountain will glow at night. And he said, how are we going to, who's going to be at fault when that green energy takes over and that waste site's there? So, hey, once again, Phil, let's focus on the present, the batteries we have, the technology where electric vehicles are going. We have to get in that generation. Hydrogen fuel cell. People are forgetting to talk about that. That's viable. General Motors is still promoting that.
Well, you know, I have a diesel, you know, propelled car. I get 30 miles to the gallon in an SUV, a large SUV. I love it. And, you know, but somehow it's not in style, you know, and the car that I drive is harder and harder to find. And I just, it kind of, you know, puzzles me because it's like, to me, the best of all worlds because I get this big car and I get great mileage and I'm not polluting because of all the controls that they put on it. So, you know, who knows?
Look, we've got our auto show comes every year. That's a perfect time for consumers to marry fantasy with reality, and that's what I talk about all the time. Not everybody's going to be able to buy that fantasy car, but they can look at it. They can dream, they can visualize. More realistically, in Western New York, we are a 12-minute commute. That's what from Buffalo to Cheektowaga, Buffalo to Williamsville, Orchard Park to Buffalo, Orchard Park to Tonawanda might be 16. Buffalo needs a vehicle. Buffalo needs a reliable vehicle. They're not as sensitive on the gas as they would necessarily be. So that's what our show does. It gives a person a blend, and it'll expose them to the electric. It'll expose them to the autonomous features. And then we can marry that person to what best suits them.
Let's talk about the auto show a little bit. That's going to coming up February 7th, right?
February 7th through the 10th.
How many cars are involved in that? How many dealers?
We estimate a few hundred cars will be in there. Every dealer in Western New York, from Jamestown, Olean, all the way through, from Rochester over. It's the perfect melting pot. They might compete all year long. In that window of opportunity, they're all there for an educational purpose, hopefully earning your business and educating you on it. So it's a fun event for us because we'll have anything from that $150,000 exotic car down to a base entry vehicle that gets you from point A to point B. We talked autonomous. I can't wait to see, you know, what the new technology is going to be in the show. We have cars that park themselves now. Cars keep themselves in their lanes. They back up on their own. They've got a governor basically in cruise control, so they stop. Cars stop on their own now for insurance. So those are the things that people need to be educated on if they're into the autonomy. And it's real. It's here today.
Yeah. It's amazing. And if you're into cars at all, or if you're thinking about buying a car in the coming year, that's really the place to go. That auto show, it's all in one place. You can see everything and anything when it comes to cars.
I'm in the car business, Phil. I can go anywhere for a car. I can look at anything. I spent the last year's auto show. I'm a big guy with long legs. You'd be surprised. You look at the exterior of a car and you think, oh, that's going to fit. I went into 8 SUVs last year to make sure, because I'm in a car a lot, 20,000, 25,000 miles a year, which one's comfortable, which one sits back, which one sits high. Just little things like that the auto show offers that affordability. How are the mirrors? How are the blind sides? How's it going to be if I got 3 kids in the back? Is that third row seat offer the leg room or the storage? That's what the auto show's about. Under one roof, nice dry, climate control weather, and have those guys tell you about the features on the car. But you as a consumer can sit and get comfortable and enjoy the ride without ever driving it.
You know, in the latest rage, when we've been talking about technology, the latest rage is the gadget factor in cars. You know, the electronics, you know, in front of you, the heated seats, you know, and the assistant when it comes to lane changes and automatic stopping and the backup camera and all these electronic devices that they're cool, okay? You know, if you're a gadget person, they're really cool. But there are some people who don't like, I mean, my dad used to not be able to turn the VCR on, you know, the clock, you know, was always flashing, and I would have to write instructions out for him to be able to press record. So some people probably don't like all this fancy stuff. This is the kind of place that you go to kind of get familiar with, you know, what really counts. You know, do I really need to have that wireless charging for my phone? Do I really need to have, you know, this you know, heads-up display on my windshield?
Phil, you got it. They're moving computers. They're computer panels on the dash nowadays. We have as many manufacturers leading up to the show that want to make sure they bring in the car that doesn't have it. Buffalo has such a high percentage of people who want basic transportation with all the frills. And, you know, people want to have all the glitz and glitter, but realistically, some of the manufacturers say, I want a car that people are going to drive. And we can still show them it's still here.
Now, you go back quite a ways as a car guy. What was your first car?
Well, my first car was a hand-me-down. My father sold it to me for $1,000. It was a Cutlass two-door Olds. I called it the Green Machine. And it was a two-door Olds. And it was a 75 Olds, used. The first one I bought on my own was a Firebird. I was in college, earned some money, and And I bought a little pocket rocket because I thought I'd look cool in it. I didn't fit in it. I didn't find that out till after I bought it. I should have gone to an auto show and said, I don't fit in it, but it was a cool looking car, and I thought it was there. So my first car was a Cutlass Holes. They don't even make them anymore. And but my first newer car was.
How about your favorite car of all time?
Can't say that.
No?
It's like, which kids do I like? I work for every manufacturer, work for every dealer.
Okay, but
I
you're
like
going-
SUVs. I like SUVs.
Okay.
Full-size
All right, we'll leave it at
SUVs.
that. You don't want to.
I can't do that, Phil. You put me on a spot.
Okay. All right. We could. Well, we've got about a minute left in the show. What takes up your time and gives you the biggest headache during the course of the things that you do? What do you deal with that with all the dealers and all the things that you have to do? What keeps you busy?
Finding good young students, as you said, to keep our perpetual employment viable. Second thing is government regulations. We become a regulatory agency for the dealers. Years ago, we'd buy a car, sign a piece of paper, shake hands. Now with all the imposition, with all the agencies, our job is to make sure our dealers are dotting their I's, crossing their T's, so the consumer is comfortable we meet all those guidelines. I believe regulation is adding cost to the cars. I'm not saying deregulate it, but there's got to be an easier flow than have 58 pieces of paper that are meaningless.
Yeah.
Our dealers do a good job, all dealers do a good job of trying to satisfy consumer needs. That keeps me up at night worrying that some agency is going to come in and put more cost on the consumer and burden on our dealers. But the workforce need is, I think, our greatest.
Okay. Well, it's been a great show. Very interesting. I encourage everybody to go to the auto show this year. Again, that starts February 7th, and that's at the Convention Center. I go every year, and it's a terrific experience. I bring the kids; they just drool over all those great cars. I'd like to thank Paul Stasiak for being my guest today, and it was a fun show. Always goes too quickly. I want to thank all of you for watching The Big Picture, and I want to thank you for watching WBBZ-TV. We always appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on The Big Picture.